Hello, everyone. Kumar Dattatreyan here with Agile Meridian and the Meridian Point. And today we're excited to welcome Hugh Massie, founder and CEO of DNA Behavior, a pioneering company that's disrupting how organizations understand and leverage human behavior. Hugh has developed an innovative AI-driven platform that creates behavioral and financial personality insights to help companies make better decisions, improve culture, and enhance performance. With over 2.5 million people served across thousands of organizations, Hugh's mission is to help organizations optimize their behavioral DNA. This really represents a fascinating intersection of technology, psychology, and business transformation. So without further delay, let me welcome Hugh to the stage, and we'll get started on understanding how this platform works.
So great to spend some time with you today, Kumar. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity.
Of course, you're welcome, and I'm excited to have you on, as I mentioned. So your company is built around the premise that behavior makes money. How is this analysis approach disrupting traditional decision-making in business and finance?
So I think one of the things with human behavior is that leaders will always say people are important, and at the end of the day, it's people that make money for a business. But because of the intangible effect in some ways of people, it's often been hard to directly link their behaviors to performance and to profits.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've sought to do is to bring greater visibility to that by measuring people's behavioral styles, and in particular people's financial behavior, and linking that or correlating that to profitability. And last year we did a research study where we used our AI-driven digital scan process to profile the leadership teams of every S&P 500 company. And we identified 6 financial behaviors that as they got stronger, as those behaviors got stronger, so did the company profits in their sector. And I think that underpins how, or proves that behavior makes money. And then when you take the top 25 performing stocks, for example, they outperform the S&P 500 if you had a basket of them. When you start to look at this with founder-related, companies led by founders, they perform much stronger than the hired gun led companies. So and we continue to do these exercises where we're linking the financial behavior of leaders to company profitability, and the stronger those behaviors, the more profits the companies are making.
Well, that's really fascinating. So you did this study, and it's a little scary too, actually, if you you think about it.
It is scary.
And so you did this study. I'm assuming all public information, public data.
Yeah.
You used AI to scour the internet, if you will, for the behaviors that these people exhibited as the leaders of their companies, founders or hired guns, as you put it, and that led you to create. I'm assuming you created a model of some sort. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So we on one side we were able to, using AI, go and find the names of all those leaders, find out plenty of details about them. We're able to map and track their career paths. We're able to find, things, things they've said online, which is a lot for usually with a lot of those people. And we're able to bring that back to, in a way, bring that information using AI back into our company, into our systems. And our proprietary assessment that we've typically had people complete over the last, physically complete over the last 24 years since the company started in 2001, that is scientifically validated, is now able to be completed by AI. And so really what we're doing is sidestepping the whole friction of having to get people to complete the profile. And if we have the right information, the underlying assessment can be completed by AI. And that's how we're able to do an exercise like that, Kumar, because we're, in a sense, reverse engineering our own system. And we're benefiting from the 3.25 million people that we've had physically complete their assessments. And we still continue to, actively pursue that part of the business and grow that part of the business. But the AI is enabling us to go to new places in getting these insights. So we in a way already had those measurements.
Yeah.
We had the measurement systems. We were already for the last 20 plus years measuring financial behaviors. But with AI, we're able to go the step further now and measure it, against en masse every leadership team essentially in the world, if we want to. And we are building a platform to do that and link it to profitability, because what AI is enabling us to do is to assimilate masses of information in nanoseconds.
Yeah. No, I missed that part when we had a conversation a few weeks ago. I missed that part. So you really already have a treasure trove of information, the 2.5 million that you've already completed assessments over the past 20 odd years. And so you're using that as a basis to train your AI to say, hey, these are the things that we've done. These are what leaders of profitable companies look like.
Yeah.
And go and research these companies that we've
got thousands of benchmarks built over the last 24 years.
Yeah.
And that's the underlying IP that allows us to do this and to mobilize our system and business to do this very quickly. I think the issue then is business model, and you might get to that later. Why would we take on our own business model of actually having people physically complete assessments and go to a complete digital scan model? Why would you do it? That's probably going to become one of the next questions. But how we're able to do it is because of the work we've done over the last 20 years.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, you might as well answer it now, because my curiosity is piqued. How would you do it? Why would you do it? Why would you even continue with a physical assessment where people fill in answers if you can get this information up front and sort of pre-fill it for folks?
Yeah,
and maybe even just present it to them and say, here's the information we got on you. Do you agree? What do you disagree with?
Well, that's essentially what's happening. So, I think we're absolutely on the Leading Through Disruption podcast today, or having a conversation about it. And I think, what I would say for listeners is, it's one thing to say, well, AI is here and let's come up with some new products and solutions. Next thing is, have you got the courage to go and implement them, and what is it going to go, and what's it going to be, what impact is it going to have on your business, and where? And that's where even we all know about Kodak. Kodak actually did all the innovation to go digital, and then they didn't have the courage to go through with it at the end of the day. And I think that for DNA behavior, at the end of 2023, while we have continually grown every year since the business started, I said, how do we, instead of getting 100 million people in our database one day, or 10 million people, and at that time we were 2.5 million in, we're 3.25 million of physical completions now. How do we get 1 billion people in our database, and what does the business look like if we do that? And one of the people that I follow, Peter Diamandis, from Abundance 360, says, if you want to make $1 billion, impact 1 billion people. Now, my goal's not totally all about money. It's about human impact. That's how I always built the business. But if I want to impact 1 billion lives, I've got to be able to get 1 billion people into our system. So how do we do it? Well, AI is there. And we have been quietly working on this for quite some years. And we decided to go full throttle with it. Now, what it does mean is that we have to change our pricing structure somewhat to build this in, and we don't want to lose the capability or the value of people completing the full assessment or the full scan by actively doing it themselves. But we want to help an organization, as you were alluding to, Kumar, get a mass scale heat map of all its employees and clients. That's what they can do now. So, we've had to change the business model and the pricing structure in our subscription to allow this in. But, in a way, I look at it and said, our main profile is going to get used a hell of a lot more than it ever has and would if we just organically grew it. Because I think that the more people are digitally scanned, and it's already being seen now, more people are coming to us and saying, well, I want the real story on me. Because the digital scan really can, at the moment, we're getting accuracy of around 75%, whereas our fully validated complete product, full scan, is 97.1%. So that 20% gap is important when you're making big time decisions. And so, I think if we carefully handle this, we'll grow all parts of our business.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, but the fact that you can get a 75% accurate scan just from scanning someone's digital DNA, if you will, using the tools that you have, is pretty impressive. It's how you look, what you look like to the world, right? To the outside world. And I suppose I don't know what your algorithms look for. Is it more financial performance, decisions that people make? Is it just leaders, or is it anyone that you can do this? I'm assuming anyone that you can do this digital scan on and sort of build a profile around the types of decisions they might make in the future.
Yeah, we're doing this on everybody. So while we've built one model for leadership to look at leader financial behavior, because I think that, our premise is that how a leader deals with money impacts the culture of the company, impacts every decision, particularly the CEO, his or her, not only talents, but behavioral, financial behavior attitudes impact every decision in the company.
Sure.
That's one part. But we also are doing a lot of this, say, for example, with wealth management firms who, and this is where, a lot of our bread and butter businesses typically been. We always helped financial advisors help them understand the talent of their team, but also the financial behaviors of their clients. That's how we sort of grow in the business. Well, now what we can do is, and this is where we changed the game, is if you're a wealth management firm and let's say you've got 10,000 clients currently and 50,000 prospects in your databases. For one firm, we're doing a digital scan on all 50,000 prospects. And that firm will be able to customize its marketing, the messaging. They will know if a new client comes in, who to match that client up with as far as the advisory team.
Oh, interesting.
And so we've got all those models already built and set in our systems to do it. That's essentially, we've been doing all of that for 20 years now, or a long time, just with the full scan process. But the digital scan enables that to be done up front. The CEO and the leadership teams can have a look at it and say, okay, this is the way in which we're going to rejig our business. Which advisors are going to get which clients. We're doing an exercise for a big fund management group right now to look at the performance of how their fund managers or salespeople manage financial advisors and sell the financial products. So, and the AI enables us to assimilate it with all the profit numbers and the performance numbers. If in those cases, it needs to be provided to us, but we've got a system to do that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an afternoon's work almost just to do that.
It's amazing. To what extent does, like, say you do a scan and I'm not a leader, I'm just a individual contributor, and but I'm being evaluated for a leadership position. To what extent does my personal financial decisions, or the ones that I've made in my past, impact I guess the results of a survey like this, that may may say, "Oh, this guy is amazing. He manages money so well. He would be really good at this role," or "We don't want to hire him because he makes bad decisions."
Well, I think that's that the issue you're raising is a very important one for leadership, particularly, and the good private equity firms, venture capitalists, probably would want to look at the financial behavior of the leader, given that his or her decisions are going to flow through the company. If they're a big spender at home, they're likely to be a big spender in the business, and we know that. But we're able to determine whether someone is likely to be a big spender, for example, from their personality traits, which we've then benchmarked previously against financial behaviors. At the moment, we are not mining into people's personal financial history, but we could. But we don't do that. Right.
Well, that's
we know that and that's probably a relief for people.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that if you come up as ABC behavioral style, then it is highly likely you will be a spender,
Mm-hmm.
and personally and in a company will not be as tight at managing financial resources.
Interesting. So I would imagine that how you behave on a personal level has little correlation to how you behave in a company setting, because that money isn't yours, right? So I mean, not technically, not theoretically, it's not yours, and your money you may manage differently from.
You'd be surprised.
Really interesting.
You'd be surprised.
I do a fair amount of trading on the side, right? And I have a paper money account, and I trade completely differently on my paper money account than I do with my real money account. I take more risks. I take more gambles. I'm actually doing much better in my paper. I mean, I wish my paper trading account was my real account. But you're saying that's not true. It doesn't at least for decisions when it comes to managing the financial strength of a company, your character traits carry through.
There's a very strong correlation, and the more that people, this is the thing, Kumar, the more that people come under pressure, the more that the ingrained instinctive behaviors are going to take over. And that's really what we are measuring in our system. Mm-hmm. Now, a person that's got a natural propensity to spend money, and they might do some of that, living lavishly at home and liking nice holidays, may step into a company and be fiscally responsible, or at least know they have to be, and they've got some analytical skills that they've been trained in. But there comes pressure points where that won't happen.
Yeah. I suppose you're right. I suppose it's how you react in times of stress that really, where the real you comes out, right? And you're probably more likely to rely on your habits, your propensity to make certain decisions under certain circumstances. So I can see where that correlation is stronger in moments of stress.
Yeah, and I think if you look at a CEO of a company, and a lot of the ones we measured in the S&P 500 are what we call an influencer style person. Now, and it's equally true for a man or woman. They're largely equally true. That they're typically big in the room people. They're very take charge, wanting to lead, set the direction, set the tone. They're visionary, and a lot of them are very outgoing. And most would be to manage, a large group of people, connect with a lot of people. They're pretty fast paced, but they're not typically overly detailed people. That's got to be handled by somebody else, maybe the CFO or and the like. And so that type of person's fairly big in the room, but they're also going to want to create a good impression, be seen in the right places, have the office looking good, all that type of thing. No hold bar, and there's no hold bar on the spending a lot of the time. And now that's the fact. Now, what you start to see then is if you start to look at the CFO, now if he or she has got that same style, there's a problem, right? So it's one thing for the CEO to be one way, but you've also got to have a balance in the team, and that's one of the things that we look at to ensure that it's, it is at the end of the day, it's the top leadership team that's influencing what happens in the company. But the CEO has a big role to play in that, because he or she appoints the people.
Right.
And innovate, and I think when we're looking at these bigger companies, innovation right now is the big thing.
Yeah.
And how they handle AI, and are they prepared to bring in new products? What are they going to take a risk on? How much do they invest in it? And we're seeing some of these companies invest a hell of a lot of money back for not a lot of profit increase right now. They're basically investing in rubbish.
Yeah.
And that's just come because where's that come from, right? But I think we all also know that if AI is done right and technologies are brought in the right way and innovated the right way, it can have substantial impact on business.
There's plenty of examples of that.
It's not just bringing technologies in. I think it's about changing the business models of the business as well. And that's pretty scary.
That's right. Or utilizing in such a way that helps you gain a competitive advantage, as you've done, right? So you've taken all this data that you've plumbed over the last 20 plus years. You're using AI to accelerate that process and at least give sort of that digital scan as a precursor to something that you might do a more thorough job if that's what's required.
Yeah, and what it enables us to do is, in some ways, in a simple way, is to step in and heat map an organization out the gate, right. Identify potentially where problems are, have those discussions, and then set the plan.
Yeah,
and we can do all of this as for our company. We're only a smaller business, but I can see the exponential results coming without having to put a lot of extra headcount on ourselves. Now, we've had to invest in technology along the way. There's no bones about that. But this is what an AI enables you to do.
Yeah, that's right. I'm curious about something you said earlier about, sort of the balance of the team, the C-suite, if you will, the personalities of the team that need to be balanced in some way so that they're not all singing from the same sheet of music, if you will. Right? They bring their own perspectives, their own personalities, and things, and it's very much aligned with what we at Agile Meridian do with our disruptor method. We don't use we use a manual assessment. It's the predictive index that we use to assess the teams that we work with, mainly the C-suite or maybe one level down. Sometimes it's a product team, product leadership. And we do that for much the same reasons as you do, which is to get a sense of what is that team like? Are they balanced? Are they going to balance each other out? Do they have the right mix of innovative spirit and the right and balanced by the right blend of analytical skills and sort of facilitative skills and bridge building skills and all of that? And I'm assuming that's what these models do for you, right? But in a more sort of quantitative way, not just qualitative.
Yeah, our system is, the feedback out of our system, the core feedback, the measurement of profile factors and sub-factors is not a lot different to predictive index in the sense of the underlying scoring is not a lot different. So the philosophy is the same that you've just talked about. I think, Kumar, it's then about, how do you do that? Well, we can do it by full scan, by people completing the exercise, or it can be done digitally. It's then how you make the data connect to other technology systems is something that we've done a lot of with technology integrations, so it can be used on a day in, day out basis. So other tooling that we've created. I think that probably becomes the difference, but the philosophy is the same, that you are looking for in the senior leadership team. You want round pegs in round holes. There may be will the team be fully balanced? There may be a need for, say, some more driven people in certain roles, or results driven people in certain roles versus the people centric people that are also needed. But what you don't want is to see a leadership team that is completely financial goal driven, even though that is the driver to profits, or one of the big drivers to profits, with no relationship centric capability on the team, and that part being ignored. And that's where, my experience has been, that, for example, even when I worked at Arthur Andersen, I could see, and I reflect back on it, and I left at a pretty young age, but I said some things in my exit interview that were probably way beyond my years of, I said, this firm won't be here in 5 years' time if you don't stop overbilling the clients, don't listen to client feedback, and 3, invest in the training. That was why I came here. That's what makes the firm good, strong, because that's where the innovation and the technical skills are.
Yeah.
And we're milking the cow. And I said, then you've got this very large client that we're charging $100 million a year for. This is back in the mid-90s. That's a mess. And there's a huge conflict of interest sitting around it. And this was a site, Arthur Andersen had more issues going on than Enron, right? Mm-hmm. All around the world. And I think that there was a major leadership change which was a huge goal to drive revenues up, but they forgot about the people culture. And I think that's the very fine balance. You want to see plenty of, if you want to call it, financial goal drive, but you've got to balance out the culture to allow innovation to happen, the people to love going to work. And here's the thing, when psychological safety gets shattered in the organization, it all falls apart. And that's, I think, my wisdom now is that while I've mentioned those specific points about Arthur Andersen, it's actually that psychological safety got lost across the board in the organization at all levels. And that takes a while for that to happen. But we can now see it we can see that is the issue in Boeing. I mean, there's a movie about it.
Yeah.
And I think Boeing's got a lot of problems coming down the pipeline. I've said to people a few months ago, this will be a problem in companies like Meta, Facebook, and there's a whole lot of other companies where they're changing their policies. I'm not saying I'm a total fan of DEI. I think that has other parts to it, but psychological safety is huge. And when that's destroyed, you lose employees, you lose innovation, and then you lose the clients.
I'm totally with you. Totally agreed on that point. I'm curious about the future. How are you using it, and the behavioral profile, if you will, especially on the financial side? How are you, and how do you help? How do clients benefit from it?
Yeah. So I think that I suppose there's sort of a couple of pathways I can go with that. So I think there's the organizational development side, and in a CEO knowing where their the constructs of their teams, knowing where the financial behaviors are. I think particularly the financial behaviors around innovation. Who's got the innovative talents in the organization? Where are they? Who's been set up to back it? I think that's the organizational side, and then the psychological safety. Where are their engagement blockages is important. And then, if we start to go across to organizations and looking at their clients and customers, how do they connect with their clients and customers better? Well, the digital scan process can be used for that. And this is where I see the future really being in hyper-personalization, Kumar, that organizations being able to mass scale, know, engage, and grow all of their clients and customers. Doesn't really matter too much what the businesses are. They can use this for that and create a customized experience. And that's what people are looking for. There's plenty of research saying that that's what people are looking for, and that it works and it does increase profits. And I think what we're able to do is help sharpen the tooling, if you want to call it, for enabling that to happen.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned what you call the helping your clients be the category king in their space, and I suppose this type of approach can help them be that category king, or what I like to call the market dominator, right? Because because of the insights that this type of analysis can provide them for the people that work for them, and of course the clients, the prospects that they're looking to attract and make their customers.
And I think that what with the digital scan, we're sort of getting to, in a way, the holy grail of knowing people very quickly and building, relatively an extremely accurate predictive model on how people behave, which then leads to the types of decisions they're going to make, what type of information do they need to make decisions. We're able to do that. One of our clients is, doing a lot of work in the retirement planning space. So, the future of retirement planning is a very open question right now, given that people are going to live longer. And how do you help those people find work? The whole gig economy issue is out there because the nature of work's changing. So where do people get placed? How do they manage their money for the future? And I think if we know people, we can do all these types of things better. That's just one example. Or the other night, I was having dinner with a group that's doing Gen AI healthcare. And so, we're all wearing devices on our wrists, measuring biometrics. A lot of the healthcare issues are caused by stress. What causes stress? Money. And so if we can understand, people and how they deal with money and what we call it DNA behavior, their money energy, and connect it to biometrics, and then use AI for that, now we're in a different world. And I think, but 2 or 3 years ago, while those ideas were there for me in terms of research, and we'd researched them and proven it out, AI allows us to do that mass scale.
Yeah, that's amazing. It seems like this whole field there's so much innovation happening. Ideas were there, but now it's becoming more possible to do it in scale with AI. And so I see that there's going to be a lot of innovation in this space for sure. So one of the things you said was a moonshot goal was to have your platform, and you already mentioned this in this conversation. Yeah. The platform would serve 1 billion people annually by 2030. What needs to happen and how organizations view behavioral insights to make this possible?
So the way we, the first thing is that organizations need to believe in human behavior and the power of behavioral insights and the financial behavior component of that as well, but just generally believe in the power of behavioral information. And if you believe in that, then the world becomes your oyster, and of course then our dreams get fulfilled. Now, luckily, because we've been in business for 20 years, we've got quite a lot of clients already, and we're able to scale up the use of the digital scan on the back of the clients and relationships that we already have. And even this year, by the end of the year, we'll have 100 million people digitally scanned through the existing client base that we have, the projects that have been set up, because, the businesses that some of the businesses we've worked with are quite large. Their reach is quite large. And these exercises can be done extremely quickly. That gets us to the first steps. And I think then it's, there are plenty of companies with data out there. And I don't think that the use of the data is being maximized at this time. And I think that, you can take a company like ZoomInfo, for example. They're not a client of ours, but, they've got millions and hundreds of millions of people in their databases that are getting communicated with all day long. Well, why wouldn't those same people be communicated with on their terms? Why wouldn't the users of that data then communicate with those people on their terms? So I think that's just a simple example, but there's the whole healthcare, patient care system out there where it's a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
And I think that any industry where it's typically to date been a one-size-fits-all approach, but there are relationships that need to be managed, ongoing relationships, the use of what we've got, there's a role. And the thing is that the system is ready to go and to do it. It doesn't need 2 years development to make
Right.
it work.
Yeah. I mean, you're already doing it now, and I'm sure
Essentially, yeah.
you've seen the results of it, and that's amazing. And you wouldn't make. I mean, yes, maybe it's a moonshot, maybe it's a audacious goal, but there is a path to getting there. You're already at 100 million, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on the 100 million is sort of in execution.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's your next year. Your step.
But there's a path to get there.
Yeah,
if we connect to the right people.
that's right.
And so, but I think also, what I'd say to business owners is you've got to put the goal out there. And so what if we don't make it? We fundamentally change, even if we got.
I mean, if you get to 500 million, that's still amazing.
Yeah, or 250 million, we're definitely going to get to
exactly.
that. We've completely. That's a different business to having, say, 5 million people profiled at the same time.
That's true. Very true.
And so, why wouldn't you do something like this?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Very good point. So I want to segue to some. We're getting into the 30+ minute mark in this interview, and it's been fascinating. And I could probably talk to you for another hour on this, but maybe I'll think of other questions, and we'll have you back on the show. But I thought we'd end with a couple of fun questions. Quick answers. So let's see here. In one word, what quality do you think is most important for a successful disruptor?
Well, innovation would be it, to be innovative. I think let's say that. That's the first word that hit my head. There's another one, but
what's the other one?
Well, I think with all of this, you've got to be resilient, and that not everything's going to work.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to take a few punches along the way as you do this.
Yeah. I like both words. I sort of resonate more with the resilience part.
Yeah.
Just because
I wanted to say that one, but I thought if I don't say innovation, people are not going to get it. But I think that resilience is it's fundamental, because you're going to get some belts in the head and have some failures.
Yeah, that's great. All right, if you could give everyone in the world one behavioral insight about themselves, what would it be?
Yeah, it would totally be about the propensity to spend money, and I think that's the thing that gets people into debt. It gets them out of control in their lives, and in the one way, what you spend is what you can't get back, and therefore being able to manage that and be aware of that. Now that's Kumar, more than business. That is also in your financial life.
Yeah.
But I think understanding spending.
Yeah.
And what it does to you and what it can do to you is important. And I say that there are people out there that spend too much. There's others out there that I know that don't spend enough.
Yeah.
And so and that's true in a business. There are businesses out there that spend too much on nonsense.
Yeah.
And there are others that are not spending anything, and they're just putting it in the bank, and things don't grow, or the potential's not maximized. So understanding spending, and the other flip side of that, maybe investing, in a broader sense, is very important.
Yeah. No, that's a really good insight. I mean, I would love that insight about myself. Just, what are my behaviors towards spending money or saving money? I mean, I think I was different when I was in my 20s than I am now in my 50s, but I don't know. I don't know what the data would say,
Well, there might be what I would say is that as you get older, there might be some learned behaviors where you've learned to reel it in, because you're now looking down the pipeline of, okay, retirement, I've got to be responsible here, or I've got kids at school, college, wife, you name it, to lots of things to deal with. But the instinct to spend or not spend is pretty ingrained.
Interesting. I suppose like anything else. Yeah.
The learned behavior is then the thing of how do you manage it wisely.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. All right. One last one. Favorite innovator or disruptor from history, and why?
Well, I think the person that sort of meets the the two words I talked about before of innovation and resilience, you have to say Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And although I've always been an admirer in a lot of ways of Bill Gates, I mean, and I think there's issues with both of them if you look at them as humans. That but they've left a huge legacy, way of thinking. But if we just take Steve Jobs, because I always believe that the answer lies in the first person to hit my head, and I haven't gone running around talking about Jobs a lot, but because I'm not an Apple phone user, but I think that he absolutely, he got kicked around early on, but he had a vision, pushed out of Apple, went and did something else with Pixar, made a fortune in that in a lot of ways, came back to Apple, and now we have the legacy of that and his thinking, and I think he's driven a lot of other people along, and his approach to it, was pretty unique. Is he a guy that I would have wanted to have dinner with? Yeah, maybe once. But there you go.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I mean, that's probably what most people, at least in our generation, who we pick, right? And I think that would change as for the younger folks. I don't know what my younger son Alex would say, or my older son Kevin would say, but I think it does change because they didn't grow up in that era necessarily.
But I think that he ran a good organization at the end of the day.
Did. Yeah.
He ran a it was tough, and I've got some friends who work in there. It's tough, but it was very well done, and I think everything he did was very good. And obviously he got Tim Cook in there as his number 2, and is now the number 1. That's kept a lot of it going pretty well, even if Cook isn't the innovator,
right?
But I'd say that this is the thing. This is my wisdom, Kumar, as we wrap up for people, that Jobs, great entrepreneur, innovator, left a legacy, but he died at age 56. And what stress did he live under that caused that? And so therefore, while there's extreme wealth being created, and a lot of people aspire to have all of that, that's at a great cost. And I think that what we want is to see is people be able to grow businesses and innovate like he's done, but also to be able to manage the stress. And at the end of the day, live to 90 plus years old. And I think that's, what we want to celebrate and encourage more, I think.
I love that, Hugh. I mean, just the balance that you're talking about, right? So it's all well and good to be successful in business, but if you're not also happy and fulfilled as an individual, what does it matter, right?
It doesn't matter. And I think that this is the mental problem for a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they're comparing everybody against, well, how much revenue have you got, and what have you done at this stage, and what car have you got, and are you traveling first class, and all this stuff. And they're all issues caused by money. And really the measurement stick of success should be around your human impact. And I think if you get that right with the right business model behind you, then there'll be plenty of success and you'll have more than enough.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm curious, and I know we're almost out of time, but just something to ponder maybe for our next conversation is the model that you've developed, the behavioral DNA model. Is there a flavor of that probes into that aspect of business success? How impactful are the decisions that you make? How impactful? How much do they impact people? Right, for the greater good, if you will. I mean, how do you grow your companies? How engaged are the employees? How happy are your customers with the products that your company creates and things like that? And I think I know the answer to that. I'll let you answer. Why not?
Well, we have all that set up as what we call a quantum leap coaching program.
Yeah.
So that while I've talked a lot today about the digital scan and our sort of mainline assessment, we have a whole lot of tools in the toolbox that once we have people in the game for wanting, whether it's a CEO, an entrepreneur, or a leadership team wanting to develop themselves more, then we would take them through the Quantum Leap coaching program. And in that, we're going to look at a whole lot of other dimensions, around mindset, quality life, money, energy, organizational energy, 360 type tools. There's a whole battery of stuff. And we also look at your biometrics. There's no point doing this if your biometrics are wrong. Health biometrics.
Yeah, that's very comprehensive, very holistic. I love it.
Well, I try to be that. That's sort of part of me is to go down that path.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, we are out of time, Hugh, but it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything you'd like to say before we end?
I think the only thing I'd wrap up and say is that for everybody, have a big dream and then start small and finish big.
I love it. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.